What's up, guys? It's basically Bensky, and we are going to go over the in-depth review about the Snapmaker U1. Now, I was already going to make this video, but the reason I wanted to pump it out maybe a little bit quicker was because I did get this comment on my last video about the Snapmaker U1. And I didn't think this was a troll comment. I guess it could have been interpreted as one, but I saw it as an opportunity to really step back, look at the video, and realize that I didn't really give it that proper of an overview. And so we are going to talk about the things that I've experienced with the U1 in terms of any issues that I've run into, how I troubleshooted those issues, and what I do and don't like about it. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Snapmaker U1. And as always, if you have not already subscribed or liked this video, please do so right now. I would really love the support because I just want to keep making videos, and honestly, I just love doing it. So let's get into the Snapmaker U1. So luckily I keep all these little post-it notes of all these different information pieces about things that I've run into with the Snapmakers. Now the thing is this is the only one I have, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things on it. There really hasn't, I have not run into a lot of issues with this. Now, first of all, this one right here, I haven't had any issues with. I haven't had any error codes. I haven't had anything wrong with the setup. Everything went really, really smoothly with this one. This was the third one that I set up out of the 3 that I own, and it's been fine. I haven't had, again, any issues. I haven't had to change any of the nozzles. I haven't had to do any of the clogging or declogging, I should say. And it hasn't had any of the other issues that the other printers have had, and we'll get into that. Now, one of the big complaints that the community has that I didn't experience, but I'll tell you why here in a second, is that this PEI sheet is not good for adhesion. Personally, the reason I haven't had the issues is because the first thing I do when I get a new PEI sheet is I put the Vision Miners nanopolymer on it, and that solves all of my adhesion issues until I can get a sticky plate, which is what's running in here right now, is the new cold sticky plate from Sliceworx, which, yes, there is a link down below because I love them. I love them so much. And when I did first get this printer, Snorka or Snapmaker Orca wasn't working 100% of the time. There were some weird issues where it just wasn't like saving things, or it would like kind of crash out and just like log me out of everything, and then the app would shut down. It was really frustrating on the computer to deal with that. But after the update, it hasn't happened since then. But again, I haven't really had any issues with this particular one, but we'll move over to the other model, and I'll talk about the one thing that I do on it probably every 5 prints. Now, this is the first one I set up. I got all 3 of them at the same time, so it's not like I was setting this one up, then I printed with it for like 100 hours and then moved on to the next one. I printed with this one. It just was the first one I set up. I only share that because I don't know if that matters for any reason, but if it does, then you know. It does have the enclosure. The reason I put the enclosure on this one and not the other one is because of the issue that we're going to talk about right now. So on the back of each of these tool heads are these 3 bronze prongs. Now, for some reason, my number 2 tool head and my 4 tool head constantly need to be wiped down. On the troubleshooting, it tells you to grab the cloth that's included, grab some isopropyl alcohol, and wipe them down. What's really weird about it is every time I do that, it's fine. And it's fine for like 5 to 10 prints. And then it just pops up again, and I don't know why. So I put the enclosure on top of it, and once the enclosure got on top of it, it stopped. So I wonder, because I'm in an unfinished basement, I get a lot of dust down here, if that was enough to just start triggering the fact that it was dirty on there. Because again, it hasn't happened. However, the other issue that I had with this one in particular was, for some reason, my nozzle on the number 3 tool head got clogged. And the reason I say for some reason is because I was printing the same model over and over and over again with the same roll of filament, and it just did it on one of the runs for some reason. I don't know why, and I did that. Which kind of brings me to issue number 2, and it's not really an issue, it's just I've gotten so used to how quickly you can swap nozzles, whether that's on the Bamboo with their quick release or even on the Creality K2 Pluses. It's just 2 screws and you're good to go. And so I've been a little spoiled by how fast and easy I can swap nozzles, that this takes quite a bit of time. And with time, let's talk about the setup. When I set up this first one, it probably took me an hour. No joke, it probably took me a full hour to set this up out of the box. By the time I got to the second one, it took me maybe 45 minutes. The third one though, I set up within 20 minutes super quickly. So it really is just a learning curve. So if you buy one of these, just know that your first time setting it up is gonna take a while, and let it take time. You want to be methodical. You wanna make sure all the plugs are fitting. You wanna make sure all the screws are in the right spot. Don't rush it just because it can get set up into like 25 to 30 minutes. Doesn't mean you should. And then we have the third one, which is ran into the same issue that the first one did before I put the enclosure, which was number two tool head. It was only two. This one wasn't 2 and 4, it was just 2. Kept getting dirty. Again, maybe it's just really that sensitive. So my recommendation would be, if you don't have an enclosure, put one on as quickly as you can. The other thing is, if you're in especially if you're in a very dusty area. Other than that, this one has been great. I haven't had any other issues, any other codes happen. It just worked. And that's been kind of the issue with having to review this printer. I know I only have 400 plus hours on it. Actually, we can check right now. Okay, so this actually has 600, well, okay. Full transparency, it has 598 hours on it. So this has almost 600 hours on it. So I've been able to put another 200 hours on each of these printers since that last video that I made, which is probably, by the time I'm putting this out, maybe only like a week old. So 600 hours on each of these printers. And those are the only issues that I've had. There have been software issues. Again, with Snorka, there has been an issue where it wasn't really like communicating as well as it could. The file slicing didn't seem as accurate as it could have been, but ever since the update on both the printer and on Snorka, it's been totally fine. Now, the only other like print quality or printer issue that I had, but the problem is, I don't know if this was me. I don't know if this was something I did or if this is the printer or not, but I can say loading 95A TPU in here is as simple as just loading it in. You put it in the side, it feeds it through, and you're done. You're absolutely done. The reason I bring up the issue is because I printed this multicolor TPU shoe out of Overture TPU, and I was able to put in PLA supports. The issue is the supports failed, and I don't know if it's because of a setting I did. I don't know if it's because of the actual printer. I'm not really sure where the issue is, but because of that, if you guys look closely, you'll see that like it embedded PLA into it. There's even some more in there. We have some back here, but printing in TPU, I mean, it did well. It's holding up. It's great. I mean, you can see how well this all worked. There is a little bit of a line here. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but there's a line right here. And again, that I think was due to the supports not doing well, but like it did this shoe in 3 days, which is just, it's crazy to me because I've seen people do shoes on bamboos and it's like 5 to 7 days. So obviously the capability is here. I've only made a phone case, which is around here somewhere.
Where?
And this is the phone case that I made in TPU, and it worked perfectly. I mean, it's simple. And then I also made these slip-ons, which these are fine. They're a little hard, so I don't wear them a lot, but they fit great. But these came out great. I did them with TPU supports, which took forever to get out, which is why I tried the PLA supports with this. But I was able to do all of these without any issues outside of, again, the PLA supports. Like I loaded it up, I sliced it, and it worked. And I think that's gonna be the uphill battle that the Snapmaker U1 is gonna have in the public eye. I think there's gonna be a lot of people, like myself included, who are going to sing its praises and talk about how perfect and great it is. And it's gonna come off like we're being paid or like there's something fishy going on, but the reality is it's working, or at least that's my experience. I know there are people who have had issues with parts of things back and forth, but a lot of them I see are user error or like they're just not doing something correctly. But again, time will tell. Like I said, outside of the enclosure, the only thing that I have done to modify this is I have the Sliceworx cold sticky plate, which is amazing. I know there's other brands out there. I'm not gonna talk trash on those other brands. I have had one other brand that was purple, and that lost its stickiness after like 150 hours, even after washing it. Sliceworx has been really good for me, but I also know You know, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Now, I know some people are asking about how loud it is in comparison to my other printers. In order of quietness to not quiet, surprisingly enough, the K2 Plus is the quietest printer that I run. Next is the Snapmaker if the enclosure is on. If the enclosure is off, it's going to go to the Bamboo H2S until the AMS2 kicks in for the H2S, and nothing is louder than that AMS2. Loud noises! That thing is so, I can hear that 2 floors up in my room. If everything else is quiet, I can still hear that. It's insane. And then the Snapmaker without the enclosure it is pretty loud. My FL Sun T1 Pro is also very loud. But I'm waiting for a new deflector on that, so I haven't been able to test it like with everything. And the Creality Highs and the Ender 5 Max, they're fine. They're like not super loud, but they're not super quiet. But yeah, what's really hard is I know people want to know the good, bad, and the ugly when it comes to 3D printers. They want to know the things that they need to look out for because they want to feel like the review is honest. And my honest review of this Snapmaker is I wish it was bigger because I would love to do full-sized helmets off of the rip. That's just not the case. Yes, I can do these Gengar masks, but if I want to print both parts of this Spider-Man mask at the same time, that's just not possible on this printer. And in fact, I don't know if this can fit because this is sized up to fit my head, and I don't know if this would even fit on the Snapmaker. But does that mean it's a problem with the printer? No, that just means it's a preference thing that you have to keep in mind when you're looking to buy one, is that if you're trying to do large format things or anything that's going to exceed a bed plate of 270 cubed, you just need to know that. I think the only other thing is, and this was pre-software update, is that the overhangs, like, I don't know how well you can see this or not, but the overhangs under here were not the greatest in the whole world. But ever since I've done the update, I haven't really seen that issue at all. And so when it comes to speed, it's great. It's quick. It does everything really well. When it comes to quality, the quality's there. It's awesome. When it comes to saving money due to waste, that is astronomical. As a quick reference, and I might do a really long form video about this, or at least one that's like 5 to 10 minutes, something like that. I spent over $10,000 on filament last year for my business. And according to a really crude calculation that I did, which was taking my top popular models and finding out how much waste they produce between the K2 Plus and the H2S, I wasted in just purge and towers over 43% in waste was last year. So out of that money that I spent, 43% of that was just thrown away. With this, immediately changed the game. With the way that I do things, I can also tell you, I've done 2 shows. I've done 2 shows this year in 2026. I've paid for 2 of these just off of saving money from waste. So if you're getting into this for a business aspect and you're doing multicolor prints as a business, I can tell you that a tool head changer, whether that's the Snapmaker U1, the Prusa XL, which by the way, Prusa, I would love to be able to see all the tool head changers back to back. You know, if there was a Core 1 IDEX that showed up at my door, that would be great. I would love to see, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. If you're watching this, Prusa, that's all I'm saying. I would love to test that and just see exactly what it looks like. But anyways, whether that's the Snapmaker U1, the Prusa XL, or the H2C, the tool head changing aspect of things is going to be very helpful when it comes to making money in the 3D printing world if you're doing multicolor printing. Also, if you're doing multi-material printing. Now, the Snapmaker can't do the super high-end engineering materials, but it can still do ABS and ASA as long as you have the enclosure. It can handle those. So you can still do those different multi-materials. Again, when I was doing the sneakers, I was able to do PLA and TPU. Here's one of the interesting things, and I'm sorry for all the people that are going to get really angry in the comment section below. The amount of there are too many people commenting in comment sections about capabilities for multi-material with like engineering materials that I'm just going to say it, you're not all using it. You're just using it as a reason to say a product is not good because it's like, well, I can't print, you know, peak on this, so it's a bad printer. You're not printing peak. I know you're not. You know why I know you're not? Because people who are printing peak are too busy printing peak to comment on the comments down below.
That escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
I know that's a really weird take. My point is, I think people dock printers for their lack of capability when it comes to the super high-end materials, that they're not realizing that that's not important when it comes to the general public. If this can handle PLA, PETG, silk filament, PLA carbon fibers, PETG carbon fibers, ASA, ABS, 99% of you watching this video are going to be totally fine with this printer. But that doesn't mean there isn't a need for those other things. Again, one of the things that I would love out of a Snapmaker U1 is a bigger bed plate. One of the things that I do have a very big issue with, and I say that like it's way bigger than actually is. It's not something that is make or break. It is just something that is simply frustrating, is that the glass window display for the Snapmaker does not allow you to see the top layer of whatever you're printing. So when you start a print, you can't see it when you open the door. You have to make sure you have an angle kind of like this to be able to kind of look inside to it. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see the print. And hopefully, I just showed you that on like a B-roll thing or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how I edit these things. Huge miss, in my opinion, if I can even call it that. I just wish the door was bigger or just like moved somewhere else. But anyways, I hope that was a lot better review of what I've experienced with the U1. Again, I'm still learning. We only have 600 hours on each of these. Let's keep going. Let's see how long it takes before something catastrophic happens. But again, I would love, if I had the ability to get an H2C and a Prusa XL and an IDEX Core 1L, I would love to just sit there and put them all going head to head and just see what happens. So hopefully in the future, if we can keep getting these subscriptions up and keep getting the likes up, that could be a real possibility. I would love to do that. I would love to do torture tests. So comment down below, keep commenting down below what you guys want to see, what more you want to do. We're going to have a video here hopefully shortly about what I do and don't sell well at markets, what I've seen in the industry in terms of selling well. So I'm basically Bensky. Mistakes make magic, baby.